audiences got a good dose of the greed, blackmail, sex, and ruin that the oil-rich Ewings dished out. They were hooked.
Everybody that I talk to has their little favorite person.
Everybody was pretty sleazy, and there was nothing like on television like that.
And there has been nothing on TV like it ever since. For 13 seasons, millions of viewers made Dallas their favorite destination. And that was a shock to most of the cast who only counted on that original 5-week run.
I just said, hey, 5 weeks is great, and then, oh, well, maybe another 6 weeks, that's even better. And I said, well, maybe we got a chance at this thing.
The audience grew slowly. Dallas didn't hit #1 until its 3rd year, but everything else had gone very quickly.
The date on the pilot script, the first year of pilot script, was December 10th, 1977, and we were in Dallas shooting 5 episodes February 1st, 6 weeks later. It was very fast.
David Jacobs had only been working in television about a year when he was asked by CBS to create a primetime saga.
They also asked me to think about something for Linda Evans, who was under contract. And then the piece turned out to be too much of an ensemble piece. They were looking for a starring vehicle for Linda Evans.
But Larry Hagman loved the concept after his wife read the pilot and brought it to his attention.
I heard this whoop from the other room. She says, Larry, this is it. There's not one redeeming, nice character in the whole show. Let's do this. So I read it, and I thought, oh, this is great. Now is the time to be scared.
In the beginning, the delightfully evil J.R. was just a secondary character, and Larry's I Dream of Jeannie past almost kept him from getting the role.
Is Larry Hagman? Larry Hagman's the major. You know, I mean, I didn't think of Larry Hagman as an edgy actor. As soon as we met him, he came up to meet us. He stood there in the door in his Stetson and boots. I mean, he was the guy.
The role of J.R.'s younger brother, Bobby, came down to a 2-horse race. The producers first considered Steve Canale, but he wound up as the womanizing ranch hand Ray Krebs. Patrick Duffy, fresh from The Man from Atlantis, was cast as the earnest Bobby, but it was originally a short-term part.
It was supposed to be Romeo and Juliet. As a matter of fact, I was supposed to die after the first 5 episodes.
Duffy's Juliet was Victoria Principal. As Pamela Barnes Ewing, she was the wife of Bobby, but the sister of Cliff Barnes, the Ewings' arch-enemy.
A very dear friend of mine, who has since passed away, brought the script over and left it at my house with a note that said, Pamela Barnes Ewing is you. And I read it, and I thought he was absolutely right.
Victoria, of all the actors, went after the role most aggressively. And if she didn't like the reading, there'd be a phone call from the agent. She wants to come back, do it again. And that kind of determination just sort of became part of the character.
The producer and director asked me if I would wear my own clothes for that episode because they had never gotten that image of Pam out of their mind.
Who's #1, right? Her or me?
At just 17, Charlene Tilton was equally determined to play the teenage sexbot Lucy, even though the producers wanted Stephanie Kramer, who would later star in Hunter.
I read the list of characters, and I read the description of Lucy, and I said, I have to have that part. It's mine. Just no 2 ways about it.
The late Mary Fran, who became Bob Newhart's TV wife, was originally cast as J.R.'s alcoholic wife, Sue Ellen. But Linda Gray stepped in and turned playing a drunk into an art.
That was fabulous for me. I loved it. It was my favorite part. Then it got a little old because I went to the producers and I said, I'm drinking, having an affair, drinking, and having an affair. I have 2 things to do. And I'll never forget what they said to me. They said, yes, but you do it so well.
With acclaimed stage actress Barbara Bel Geddes, Jim Davis, and Ken Kercheval in place, the original cast was complete. And during its 356 episodes, Dallas would feature more than 100 actors, including even Brad Pitt. Priscilla Presley signed on for the 6th season, but in a rare interview, she tells E.T. it wasn't as easy as it sounds.
My manager submitted my name, and we were refused. Like, oh my God, this is terrible, you know. Well, I hadn't really been an actress. I hadn't been seen.
Once she proved herself, Priscilla soon doubted her decision when she saw the amount of work she had in her first episode.
Oh my God, I started crying, going, what have I done? A year, I've signed for a year, and I have all these lines to do.
Priscilla says Larry helped her feel at home. His presence on the show was as large as his characters, but far more positive.
Without a single really flagship character to draw everybody else along point lines of interest and plot, the show wouldn't have lasted 13 years. Larry is single-handedly the reason the show has stayed on the air for 13 years.
The fact that he was never nominated for an Emmy Award just blows my mind.
Larry pulled the cast together, often leading them out to dinner.
We would go to his favorite choice, Chinese, and Larry would walk in and go, "Hi, remember me? Major Nelson, I Dream of Jeannie? Well, me and my friends here, we're doing this show called Dallas. We'd sure like to have a table if you could get us one."
And together, they created a TV classic that spawned many imitators, including Dynasty, which was originally called Oil. Even today, the show is enjoyed around the world in reruns, but nobody loved Dallas more than the cast.
When the family was around a dining table, they knew, the director knew, playtime.
I can swear to you, in 13 years, there was not one day that I wasn't so excited to get to work that I always left the house earlier than I wanted to, just so I could get in the car, get there, and start having fun.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the most fun I ever had, and a lot simpler than comedy.
Coming up on Dallas, The Secrets of Southfork. Victoria Principal's problem with obsessive fans and her hidden battle with her weight.
It was terrible being fat.
Charlene Tilton's traumatic divorce and her new job as a celebrity gossip columnist.
I know what it is like to be on the other end of the tabloids.
Priscilla Presley talks about how she became a Dallas star and her troubled marriage to Elvis.
When someone is on pills, you can see the self-destructiveness.
That's next.
Let's be honest. There's really no such thing as a gracious winner. You might say things like nice game or shake your opponent's hand. But no matter how humble you are on the outside, deep down on the inside, you're saying, "I'm better than you are." The Mitsubishi Galant, ranked the #1 family sedan under 20 grand by Car and Driver. Better than Accord or Camry. Boy, we just love saying that.
I'm gonna go to the play place.
Dreaming of a Disney cruise vacation? Then hurry to McDonald's and try the extraordinarily tasty Big Extra sandwich. The Big Extra is McDonald's newest, biggest burger. Or try one of your other favorites, and you could win an unforgettable Disney cruise vacation. There are still hundreds and hundreds to win. Who gives you the chance to win the vacation of your dreams? Did somebody say McDonald's?
That was some slide.
Americans love food. Always have, always will. It's part of our culture. You can't go anywhere without being reminded, excited, or enticed by a variety of things to eat. It's no wonder so many Americans are considerably overweight. But if you're serious about losing weight and willing to make the effort to change your diet, Xenical can help. Xenical is the only prescription fat blocker. It actually blocks about 1/3 of the fat in the food you eat from ever being digested. So if you avoid temptation and start eating reduced calorie meals, Xenical can help you lose weight. And that's pretty enticing too. So if you're considerably overweight, at least 30 pounds, depending on height, ask your doctor for more information.
Since Xenical blocks about 1/3 of the fat in the food you eat, you may experience gas with oily discharge, increased bowel movements, an urgent need to have them, and an inability to control them, particularly after meals containing more fat than recommended. Xenical shouldn't be taken if you are pregnant, nursing, have food absorption problems, reduce bile flow, or taking cyclosporin. Xenical reduces the absorption of some vitamins. Therefore, a daily multivitamin is recommended.
Welcome back to Entertainment Tonight's Dallas, The Secrets of Southfork. As Pam Ewing, Victoria Principal married into the wealthy Southfork clan. Now, as the show rose in the ratings, Principal found she had some fans that got out of control, forcing her to hire private security.
You said it'd get better, and instead it's getting worse.
Not all the attention bestowed on Victoria was welcome. The now 50-year-old actress was targeted by more than one deranged fan. A dangerous situation that called for Hollywood's top security man.
Thankfully enough, I had brought Gavin DeBecker in my life quite early in my career, and Gavin DeBecker on more than one occasion was responsible for saving my life.
Playing the beautiful, good-natured wife of Bobby Ewing marked Victoria's Hollywood comeback. Just 3 years earlier, she had quit the business, giving up a career that had begun with so much promise.
I started out in 1971. My first film was Judge Roy Bean, directed by John Huston, starring Paul Newman. And by 1975, I was very unhappy with myself. and I felt that I couldn't make the corrections to myself as a human being in front of the camera.
But Victoria had already made one correction before quitting acting and becoming a talent agent. As she told us in 1989, she had to come to grips with her weight problem.
It was terrible being fat. I felt like I was a prisoner in my own body. And I was so embarrassed that I hid more and more because I didn't want people to... My own agent didn't know how fat I was because I wouldn't come into town.
Victoria eventually sought help from a therapist and a nutritionist to deal with her problems. She also worked on her image as a party girl, a reputation she acquired because of some of the well-connected men she dated, including Frank Sinatra, Desi Arnaz Jr., and the Maharaja.
There was a time in my life when I was capable of burning the candles at both ends, and there were times when I did, but it wasn't as consistently, nor as constantly, nor for as many years as the media has made it out to be.
After a brief marriage to an actor several years her junior whom she met on the set of Dallas, Victoria, age 31, embarked on a highly publicized May-December relationship with Bee Gee brother Andy Gibb, age 23. But his drug abuse forced Victoria to end the 13-month relationship. Andy was devastated by the breakup and died 6 years later of a heart ailment. Talking about Andy in 1989 still caused Victoria visible pain.
It was one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do in my life, and it's not something I'll ever look back on easily. To this day, I have trouble comprehending that he's not here.
After a 3-year courtship, Victoria married plastic surgeon Harry Glassman in 1985. They'll celebrate their 15th anniversary this year, and Victoria says the good doctor totally supported her decision to leave Dallas. With all her subsequent successes, producing TV movies, authoring books, and running her skincare line, it's a decision she's never regretted.
I got to find out what I lived in fear of not knowing. I didn't want to look back on my life and say what I might have done, what I might have been, what I might have been capable of. It was important to me to go out and answer that.
Coming up on Dallas, the secrets of Southfork.
How the cast reacted to the death of their co-star.
He had a series of migraine headaches over the years, and later on, this was diagnosed as brain cancer.
Why a man invaded the Dallas studio and was suspected of wanting to kidnap one of its stars. Larry Hagnan's contract holdout and the producer's plan to replace him.
And they said, oh, we're going to bring in, you know, this actor or that actor.
And JR's real life and death drama.
This is a second chance. Let me tell you.
That's next.
Final warning call, all passengers, gate 10. Don't be late, call 976-WAKE for a reliable wake-up call, just $2. When you can't be late, you've got to call WAKE. That's 976-WAKE. Call now.
Tired of winter? Beat the blahs with weekday blackjack action at Oneida Casino. Mondays are double points day. Show your Fun Club card, earn double points. On Token Tuesdays, get a 6, 7, 8 same suit combination and win a $25 complimentary chip. $2 blackjack tables are back on Wednesdays. And Thursdays will double your pay on same suit blackjacks. Fridays, first timers, here's your chance. Bet $1 and try your luck on $1 tables. Come on out for continuous blackjack action. You'll have fun, fun, fun all week long at Oneida Casino, Green Bay.
Here's your regular internet homepage, and here's i1.com. It's free. You use it like Yahoo, Excite, or other search engines. Only i1.com gives away $10,000 every day, $1 million a month, and $10 million on tax day. Which one would you choose?
There's one guaranteed winner every day.
I'd definitely choose this one.
Would you consider telling your friends about this?
No.
Introducing i1.com. Why wouldn't you?
What can I put in my creamy cottage cheese to make it taste so good even kids will eat it? I got it! Pineapple!
Breakstone's Cottage Doubles. Available in peach, pineapple, and strawberry, too.
It's sinful. It's decadent. It's downright naughty. It's peaches and cream. Breyers Light non-fat yogurt with the indulgent flavors of your favorite desserts. Breyers Light yogurt tastes naughty, but it's not.
What does it take to run your own business?
I was able to start my own company because of the tremendous amount of hands-on experience I gained while I was at DeVry.
If you want to succeed in business today, technology skills are important. DeVry is a great place to get them.
Everything about DeVry prepares you to run your own business.
Opportunities for a woman with a DeVry education are unlimited.
At DeVry, you learn how to focus on what it takes to succeed in business, especially your own.
Call 1-800-DeVry-11 for a higher degree of success.
In other news, George Taylor was expected to be promoted today at cryogenics. Mr. Taylor failed to show. Company officials are concerned. He should have called 976-WAKE. Others for a reliable wake-up call. When you can't be late, you gotta call WAKE 976-WAKE.
Monday on Entertainment Tonight, the coroner's file on Natalie Wood. Vanity Fair uncovers the never-before-seen police report given by actor Christopher Walken. He was the actor on board with Natalie and Robert Wagner the night she drowned. Now, what he says happened and how his story differs from Robert Wagner's. He's the mystery millionaire who's about to marry a complete stranger.
I live in the greatest place in the world.
Now, why he's willing to walk down the aisle with a bride he's just met. That's Monday. This is Entertainment Tonight, and you're watching Dallas, The Secrets of Southfork. The stars of Dallas experience personal tragedies, just like their on-screen characters.
From Ken Kercheval's lung cancer to Linda Gray's divorce to the death of patriarch Jim Davis, not even the soap opera of Southfork could stop their real-life dramas.
I knew that Jim was dying. We all did. You know, nothing prepares you.
He had a series of migraine headaches over the years, and later on, this was diagnosed as brain cancer.
They brought a trailer kind of thing on the set, so he didn't have far to walk. And he wanted to be there. He wanted to be on the set.
Jim Davis toiled for years in Western B movies with titles like Jesse James Meets Frankenstein's Daughter. But being cast as Jock Ewing was the biggest break of his career, and he loved it. On a trip to Great Britain after the second season, he was at Buckingham Palace to see the changing of the guard ceremony when hundreds of fans mobbed him.
And those big guards with the large hats, they said, Mr. Ewing, if you could just please step inside the gates here, please, sir. And he came back and he told this story. And it was such a wonderful thing because Jim was in his 70s at that time, and he said, gee, you know, I've had a few good shots in my career, but I finally become a success.
Jim's death after the show's third season hit the cast hard. Maybe the most devastated was Victoria Principal, who read one of Davis's eulogies and shared a strong bond with the actor.
Jim had a daughter, Tara, his only child, who passed away in a car accident when she was in her teens. And unbeknownst to me, we bore an uncanny resemblance to one another. And so from the time that we began working together, we had a very special paternal and relationship. In fact, I know that when Jim died, one of the photographs in his wallet was of me and one of Tara.
Another Dallas star who faced personal turmoil was Linda Gray, who for 11 seasons played the booze-swilling Sue Ellen Ewing.
We got sort of a routine here, you know.
In 1983, at the height of the show's popularity, she fought through a highly publicized divorce from husband Ed Thrasher. At the time, she declined to speak about it.
In hindsight, I probably should have said, you know, this is what's going on in my life. Unfortunately, it's, you know, the end of my marriage. But I chose not to do that because I frankly felt that it was nobody's business.
When her character went off to London to never return, it meant a drastic change in real life for Gray.
I found I didn't want to wear makeup. I didn't want anyone touching my hair, putting a powder puff near my face. It was kind of like shedding a skin. I mean, it was like being dropped from another planet back on Earth. And, I mean, buildings literally had sprung up. New restaurant. I mean, I know it sounds silly and very bizarre, but that's the way it was.
And while Gray says she was typecast after Dallas, finding it difficult to get roles, never once has she let it get her down.
There's a big world out there. There's galaxies out there. What do you want to do? And, you know, how exciting to play in your garden, or how exciting to do a play in Vienna. I did all of those things.
Well, I don't believe it.
Ken Kercheval was the only cast member besides Larry Hagman to be on Dallas for all 13 seasons. As the Ewing's #1 nemesis Cliff Barnes, Kercheval saw plenty of drama off-screen as well. In 1989, a former business associate snapped and crashed through the studio gates where Dallas was filmed, reportedly looking for Kercheval.
There were some things that indicated that he might have thought about kidnapping me. The indications are that he came here indeed to commit suicide.
Ed Phillips had worked for a popcorn company that Kercheval partly owned. Phillips set his rented truck on fire and began shooting before turning the shotgun on himself. Kercheval was not at the studio that day.
We had no business together, but he had really crossed the lines into my personal life, trying any way he could to destroy my credibility. That's all.
It was in 1994 that Kercheval met with another life-threatening episode. His many years of smoking had led to cancer, and he lost half of his left lung to the disease. And Kercheval was quite animated when he described the memento of his surgery.
I got a scar. I got a scar that starts right here, comes back around here, and all the way up to just right about there at the base of my shoulder blade. I kind of look like, I look like I was in Jaws, only they didn't use the dummy shark.
Today, Kercheval remembers his days on Dallas fondly, calling them luxurious and fun. And he is still awed by the numbers of people that saw him on Dallas, as opposed to the audiences when he performed on Broadway.
Of the 20 years total of all of the audiences that came to the theaters, the Broadway houses where there were 1,200 or 700 or whatever, accumulative, all of those audiences into one number, more people saw me in one episode of Dallas than had seen me for 20 years of performing.
Coming up on Dallas, the secrets of Southfork. The breakup of Charlene Tilton's marriage and reports of abuse.
It was a very, very painful time in my life.
What brought Patrick Duffy back to Dallas after he quit? His secret meeting with Larry Hagman.
Larry says, Patrick, come on out here to Malibu. I want to get in the jacuzzi and talk to you about something.
And the madness behind Who Shot JR.
The pilot threatened not to land unless I told him who shot JR.
That's next.
Who Shot JR was one of the highest rated shows in TV history. Did you watch? Who did you originally think was the shooter? Share your memories of the historic episode by clicking on to our ET website.
Makeup is just a cover-up? That's so yesterday. But makeup that softens little lines? That's today. That's Visible Lift by L'Oreal. The magic is Pro-Retinol A in a makeup. So as it really covers those little laugh lines, it really helps them disappear. Visible Lift by L'Oreal. So now when I put on my makeup, the years don't come back. Now that's a visible lift. I can see it, I can feel it, and I'm worth it.
One day, that little boy won't reach for your hand anymore.
Dad! Hurry up, come on, let's go!
So how are you going to hold on to him? Maybe with the memories you share. So come be part of a year-long Walt Disney World Millennium Celebration and make memories you'll hold in your heart forever. Just call 1407-WDisney.
Celebrate the future.
You know, running your own business is not as glamorous as you think. It takes sacrifice, discipline. If you don't deliver, someone else will.
Okay, can we go now?
Sure.
Self-employment, the next big thing from Mitchell Lee. LS, the next big thing from Saturn. More room, better performance, really dependable.
Dandruff, scratching, itching. Use Neutrogena T-Gel Stubborn Itch Control with cooling menthol you feel on contact. Unlike self-control, it works. Ask any dermatologist.
I'm here to see if an expert can taste the difference between butter and new parquet. You, sir, are from Oregon. I would have thought Idaho. Let's just do it. It's butter.
Parquet. The richest, creamiest parquet ever.
Nothing says butter like new parquet.
Daddy? Dad? Dad?
Columbia Pictures invites you to celebrate the insanity.
Mommy has to leave you with Aunt Eve.
and experience the joy of sisterhood. Meg Ryan, Diane Keaton, Lisa Kudrow.
Would you like to get into bed now?
Not with you. Hanging Up, rated PG-13, opens February 18th.
This is Entertainment Tonight, and you're watching Dallas, The Secrets of Southfork. As the sex pile Lucy Ewing, Charlene Tilton was once earning $50,000 a week. So, when she was abruptly evicted from Southfork during the show's 7th season, it came as a total surprise.
It was not my choice, I do know that. I got a call out of the blue saying that they weren't going to renew my contract. And I was shocked.
Charlene was let go from the role that turned her into an overnight sensation. She'd been told the writers didn't know what to do with her character anymore, but fans deluged the producers with letters of protest.
They ended up bringing me back, which was very nice.
Tilton was only 17 when she began as JR's sexy niece. Victoria Principal remembers that Charlene was not the temptress she played on screen. In fact, at the very start of Dallas, Charlene was afraid to sleep alone in her hotel room.
I don't think she'd ever really been away from home. And during the miniseries, Charlene actually spent a number of the nights not sleeping in her room, but on my bed, wrapped up in my bedspread. She was my sweet little baby kitten.
But producers thought she was older and often put her into some very mature situations.
I actually liked some of the times when I got to play scenes where I was drunk or stoned or kidnapped or beat up or something where I could get a little messed up.
Her natural sex appeal was played to the hilt.
Oh, of course that spilled into my life because I am a sex goddess, of course. Can't you see?
And despite a set filled with strong female characters, Charlene says that catfights were nowhere to be seen.
I know the press and people would love to hear that they were fighting, that the women were catfighting, that Victoria and I hated each other and Linda hated... but none of that was true.
In 1982, Tilton married country singer Johnny Lee after only knowing him 6 months. After their daughter Cherish was born, the marriage crumbled, and the tabloids claimed he had abused her.
It was a very, very painful time in my life, but, I mean, going through divorce always is.
In 1990, during season 12, Tilton said goodbye to Southfork for good, this time on her own terms. But still, it felt like she was leaving her family.
When I was shooting my last close-up, then it hit me. Wow, this has been almost half my life doing this show.
Charlene continued to act in plays and films. In 1985, she married her second husband, musician Dominic Allen, but the union only lasted 6 years. She took to designing sexy sportswear and swimwear, and even posed topless to help promote her line. Last year, she surprised Hollywood by taking a job as a gossip columnist for the Globe.
Because I know what it is like to be on the other end of the tabloid.
She says she only writes happy tidbits about the stars and never anything malicious or mean. She's raised her daughter as a single mother, and today, Cherish is starting her own acting career, watching Mom on Dallas for tips.
My daughter has watched a couple of the reruns, and she's like, wow, Mom, that's a good show. Mom, I can't believe you're doing that. I'm like, it's acting, honey. Don't you go try that at home? You'll be grounded.
Patrick Duffy played Charlene's Uncle Bobby, but in 1985, he decided he'd had enough of Dallas, and in a bold move, his character died when he was run down by a car, leaving the show with a very big hole to fill.
It wasn't a departure for any other reason than finding out what the world was like out there and if I could utilize where I had been to go somewhere else.
The success of the ensemble cast of Dallas led Duffy to believe that he was ready to venture out on his own. However, the world was not necessarily ready for Duffy.
I went to England, did a mini-series, I did commercials, I did all kinds of things, and nothing was as good as where I had been.
Well, I'm not nervous.
Patrick was 29 years old when Dallas first aired, and almost instant public acceptance of the show propelled Duffy into the limelight. It was something he wasn't ready for.
I wasn't prepared for the amount of incursions into my private life. I had a hard and fast rule. My children were never to be photographed. My wife led a very private life.
Patrick married his wife, Carlin, a former ballerina, in 1974, and they have 2 sons together. After Duffy's short departure from the show in 1985, when he was killed off, it was his friend and former co-star who prompted Patrick to return. And it was Carlin that had a premonition of how they would do it.
So I said, Pat, come on over. Let's take a jacuzzi and sit down, have a drink, and blah, blah, blah.
That was on my message machine. My wife and I came back from someplace. The light was blinking, played it back, and Larry says, Patrick, come on out here to Malibu. I want to get in the jacuzzi and talk to you about something. See, Larry and I always talk in hot water. I don't know what that's all about. But as soon as I turned that off, I looked at my wife and I said, they're going to ask me to come back on the show. And her immediate response was, the only way you could come back is if that whole last year was a dream. What's the matter?
With the 1986 season almost finished, producers shot multiple cliffhangers. But the scene where Pam finds Bobby in the shower and sets up the fact that it was all a dream was kept a secret from cast and crew.
We did an Irish Spring commercial. We took all day and had cases of Irish Spring, and I turned around in that shower 100 times, all lathered up, turn around and go, good morning, and you can have a good morning too, if you wake up like the Duffys with, and then we did this commercial over and over and over again so that they would think it was really that, and then he just cut out that one part, and it was taken to New York by briefcase and put into the master just before airtime.
The timing was perfect for Duffy to return, for he would need the closeness of his Dallas family to help him through a personal tragedy.
People have a very difficult time bringing up the fact that my parents were murdered when I came back on the show.
Gunned down in Montana by two men trying to rob their bar, Duffy did not have to face the hardship alone.
Everything and everybody was just so supportive. And when I came back, it was, you know, it's the type of thing that when they're real good friends, there's never a difficult moment. There was never a, ooh, can we talk, can we do, can we this or that. It was all like, you know, we're all members of the same family, so they all went through it to a certain degree with me.
Duffy, who directed 30 episodes during the season run, stayed on until 1991 when the series went off the air. Feeling the end in sight, Patrick was already planning for the future and the sitcom Step by Step, which also starred Suzanne Summers.
So literally when the show was over, we had the pilot was almost written. Suzanne and I had never met yet, but we knew we were both each being, you know, told about the other person, so it was just a matter of as soon as the show was over.
But Duffy's fondest memories of his career will forever remain in Southfork.
Everything was so mystical in the sense that it was meant to be, and you could never, nor should you want to escape from that family of Dallas.
Coming up on Dallas, the secrets of Southfork. Priscilla Presley, from wife of the king to primetime star.
I was never really driven to acting. I really enjoyed being a housewife.
Why she was scared to join the cast.
There was so many tabloid stories about the cast members, what they were, you know, fighting about.
And the fateful phone call that saved Larry Hagman's life.
Doctor said, I got good news and bad news.
That's coming up.
We want our children to be kind, caring, generous people.
Today, it will be picnic.
Of course, there is something to be said for being a little selfish. Want a little something sweet? I could go for something Jell-O.
Lovers Lane presents history's greatest lovers.
Create your own star-crossed love affair this Valentine's Day with seductive gift ideas from Lovers Lane. Playful games and sensuous silks, revealing playwear and daywear. Everything you need to inspire your own forbidden love from Lovers Lane.
You've always known that love could be so much more at Lovers Lane.
Stern. It's the Howard Stern Show, weekday morning.
Brandmeier.
Johnny B. Radio show, Graham, middays. That's right, we were on in Chicago.
And Dahl.
The Steve Dahl Show.
Afternoons, I got your package right here.
On one station.
105.9.
WCKG.
Howard Stern.
Jonathan Brandmeier.
Steve Dahl.
The anti-format.
The package is too big, man.
I mean, it's too big. You have to be part of the package every minute.
105.9 WCKG.
The package.
Did they make a mistake? Their prices aren't really this low.
It's a joke, right?
Wrong!
It's the wild, wild weekend clearance at Bay. Bay Furniture needs room for more than $2 million in new merchandise due in next week. Everything must go. Living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms, even floor samples at a fraction of retail value. 30, 40, 50, even 70% off. Free delivery, too.
It's a joke, right?
Wrong!
It's the Wild Wild Weekend Clearance, now through Sunday at Bay.
Bay Furniture. When it's snack time, I feel I deserve something sweet and wonderful, like these Philadelphia snack bars.
Delicious taste of cheesecake in a clever little bar.
A beer we recycle.
New Philadelphia snack bars.
You're watching Entertainment Tonight's Dallas, The Secrets of Southfork. Few knew Priscilla Presley could act when she came to Southfork in 1983 as Jenna Wade. Before joining the cast, she'd been known around the world simply as the ex-wife of the king of rock and roll.
I was never really driven to acting. I never had that in me. I really enjoyed being a housewife. I was prepared, you know. That's what I wanted.
Priscilla Presley told me that the acting bug didn't bite her while she was married to Elvis Presley. She met the king in 1959 when she was 14 and he was in the Army, as she said in a 1988 interview.
At that time, I wasn't like a big fan of his. And when I met him, he was just in fatigues and a t-shirt and very much at home in a little simple German, house on off base, and it was the bigness of him never really hit me at that time.
She married Elvis in 1967 and had daughter Lisa Marie the following year. But in 1973, she divorced Elvis because he was on a path to self-destruction.
When someone is on pills, you can see the self-destructiveness going on. I mean, you can see where they're not as bright and alert.
Striking out on her own, she decided to take some acting classes.
You said that you were really shy and you took acting lessons to help you through it.
Yes.
How shy were you?
So shy, it took me 3 years to do a scene. I sat in the back of the class. My acting coach said, "Priscilla, I'm going to be an old man before you do a scene. When are you going to get up there?"
She got the courage to go into acting, and after some small parts, got her big break on Dallas.
You don't mind having a wife with a prison record? I can't wait to finally become Mrs. Bobby James Ewing. There was so many tabloid stories about the cast members, what they were, fighting about. So I'm walking into this thing, oh my God, it's going to be a cat fight as soon as I walk in. So of course I'm nervous walking in, thinking, oh, we'll never get along. I better keep to myself. I'll just stay in my trailer. I'll do my work. I'll say my lines. I'll get off the set. And to my surprise, it was nothing like that.
When someone like Priscilla comes on any set, I think there's sort of that sort of bit of awe. It's like, that's Elvis's ex-wife. But what happened was Priscilla was such a treasure.
Priscilla has many tales to tell of her days on Dallas, like the time she decided to cut her hair the night after shooting a fight scene.
I got a call the next morning saying we have to redo the scene. And I didn't have the heart to tell them that I had my hair cut. I had to go through this whole, trying to find hairdressers, trying to find wigs, trying to find anything to make my hair, of course, look the way it did when we shot the scene. It was a shock to everyone. Everyone could not believe it.
This is a 1986 interview with Priscilla. She's pregnant, just like her character Jenna was on the show.
The character was supposed to be pregnant, and it was a great opportunity to get pregnant.
That came first.
The character came first. Yes. And it just so happens that I thought, oh my God, I wanted a child so badly.
Right.
And so when I had heard, quite a few months before that they were thinking of Jenna getting pregnant, I thought, okay, well, here's my opportunity.
But you are a committed actress, aren't you?
She had a son with her new love, Marco Garibaldi, a writer and director. They met when he arranged a meeting to talk about a project.
I've never had a blind date. And this really wasn't a date, it was just basically a meeting. Next day, there's a knock on the door, and I open it. I remember being on the telephone, I think it was with my sister, and all of a sudden I open the door very nonchalantly. I'm going, yeah, okay, all right, well, blah, 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 blah. Open up the door, and I'm going, oh my God, I'll call you back. I hang the phone up, and here we are today. Here we are.
Priscilla decided to leave the show soon after the birth of her son.
I really wanted to be with him, and I felt so guilty. I mean, I was having him come to the set. I was nursing him on the set.
But she still wanted to work, so she took a big step into comedy with Leslie Nielsen in the first Naked Gun movie. She says she even shocked herself by that jump into new territory.
When I dive, I dive. When I go, I go.
Coming up on Dallas, the secrets of Southfork. The day that Larry Hagman found out he had cancer.
I have a tumor in my liver, and they're they've given me all kinds of tests.
His life-saving transplant.
The next 48 hours are extremely critical.
I think I'm swollen up like this and all kind of yellow.
And what his wife did in the hospital.
That's next.
Which star of MASH went to school with Natalie Wood and Ricky Nelson? Was it Alan Alda, Wayne Rogers, or Mike Farrell? Your answers coming up in Entertainment Tonight's Weekend Birthdays.
Closed captioning provided by...
I was forced to retire from the game because of a leg injury, but thanks to Inholtra's patented formula, I'm now pain-free. Stop the pain today with Inholtra and stay in the game.
When I was 9 months pregnant, my husband beat me. One night, he came after me with a knife and barely missed our son. I left. My kids and I ended up at a shelter. I realized it wasn't my fault. Women are beaten every day, and if we stayed, I knew he would hurt my daughter.
All across the country, battered women and children are starting new lives, thanks in part to Philip Morris, one of the largest supporters of programs that feed, shelter, and counsel victims of domestic violence.
But what frightened me most was that if we stayed, I was putting my son at risk of becoming a batterer himself. I grew up in a very loving home. My kids deserve to grow up in one too.
Working to make a difference. The people of Philip Morris.
More reasons to come to Pier 1. Right now, all bedroom collections are 20% off. Every headboard, every dresser, every nightstand is 20% off. Pier 1's annual bedroom sale. Great prices. Great reasons to shop Pier 1 now.
Chevy Blazer. A little security in an insecure world. Blazer, like a rock.
Tylenol House Call. Information for healthy living.
Every year it flies in from places like Sydney and Shanghai.
I feel absolutely miserable.
I wind up with fever, chills, and ache all over.
It's the flu.
It hits me like a ton of bricks.
The flu is a serious ailment that could lead to hospital stays with pneumonia. That's why a flu vaccination is a good idea, especially if you're over 65. But if you do get the flu, experts recommend plenty of rest, drink lots of fluids, and to relieve the tough aches and fever of the flu, the medicine in extra-strength Tylenol is the first choice.
I am really looking forward to getting over it.
There's no cure for the flu, but you can get relief.
Tylenol House Call is brought to you by Extra Strength Tylenol.
Celebrating a star-style birthday on Saturday, Bobby Brown is 31, and Jennifer Jason Leigh turns 38.
And blowing out birthday candles on Sunday, Kathy Najimy is 43. Robert Townsend also celebrates number 43. Natalie Cole turns 50. And which MASH star went to school with Natalie Wood and Ricky Nelson? That's Mike Farrell, who's 61.
You're watching Entertainment Tonight's Dallas, the secrets of Southfork.
In November of 1980, TV history was made when more than 83 million Americans tuned into the Dallas episode known as Who Shot JR? But what audiences didn't know was that behind the scenes there was a real-life battle brewing.
Of course, that national frenzy surprised me. There had never been anything like it before.
That phrase will always live. Who shot JR?
You know, I wish I had a nickel for every time I've been asked that question.
By the end of the summer, we thought, oh my God, if one more person asks me this, you know, I might have to shoot them.
Producers decided they needed a cliffhanger to end the 1980 season of Dallas. That was accomplished with two well-aimed bullets to the midsection of J.R. Ewing. During the long summer that followed, a frenzied nation had but one question on its mind.
For example, I had flown back to L.A. for one day and was flying back to Dallas to resume filming. And over the intercom, the pilot threatened not to land unless I told him who shot JR.
But behind the scenes, another cliffhanger was brewing as well. In a bold move, star Larry Hagman decided to parlay this national fixation into a demand for more money.
I thought, look, this is your chance. I wasn't making a lot of money then. And this is your chance to make a lot of money. If I don't do it now, I'm never going to have another chance like this. I was in the mid-40s, and I said, this is it. I'm either going to make it or I'm going to break it. I'll never, ever work again, or I'll do rather well. I had nothing to lose except my life.
Leaving his agents to negotiate, Larry headed to England.
I could do no wrong there. Traffic would stop. Bobbies would stop traffic and say, gee, would you give me your autograph, please? Thank you. Lights out.
I talked with him several times on the phone when he was in hiding, and he'd say, what's going on? And I'd say, go for it, buddy.
At home, producers threatened to replace Hagman with another actor.
And they said, oh, we're going to bring in, you know, this actor or that actor. And we all knew there's nobody can do that.
I knew they couldn't do it. I knew I was too hot. And the show was too hot.
Meanwhile, with Who Shot JR on the lips of a nation, producers shot several versions to keep the public guessing.
Everyone got to shoot JR. It was good.
Numerous of cast were asked to come in and say, take that.
Of course, there was no shortage of suspects, like JR's long-suffering wife, Linda Gray.
The sooner we have you put away in that sanitarium, the better off you're going to be.
Linda almost spilled the beans on Good Morning America.
He said, do your children know? And I said, no, they don't know, but one of them guessed. And at that moment, my eyes glazed over, and I thought, oh, my gosh, what have I just said? So I called home, and I said, if anybody from the press calls you, don't say anything.
Even Linda's TV sister, Mary Crosby, hated JR.
One day somebody's going to stop you, and I hope I'm there to watch it.
Eventually, the Who Shot JR episode was seen by more people worldwide than any program in the history of television up to that time.
Something like 380 million people stopped what they were doing, not only in this country, but all the other countries.
The culprit? JR's jilted lover and Bing Crosby's real-life daughter, Mary Crosby, who told us in 1983 that pulling the trigger shot her to stardom.
Looking back on it, I was just very grateful for what had happened and for the fact that I was the one that shot him and that sort of thing.
As for Larry's salary dispute, Hagman won a reported and then unheard of $100,000 an episode.
Of course I was worth it. We went on for 11 more years. I mean, everybody did rather well.
Just like J.R. Ewing, Larry Hagman used to enjoy his cocktails, but his drinking would take a terrible toll. With his liver failing, he was headed for the battle of his life. And E.T. was there every step of the way.
This is a second chance. Let me tell you.
Larry Hagman knows about second chances in life. He's learned the hard way. When he sat down with our Bob Goen in July 1995, the actor had just learned he had a malignant growth on his liver.
I have a tumor in my liver, and they're experimenting, you know, they've given me all kinds of tests, and they've come up with 3 different ways of doing it, injecting alcohol in the tumor, which I've been doing a long time.
There's an irony for it.
Yeah, right. And they're supposed to kill it, or freezing it, or a liver transplant, and they're all options.
Larry was honest when asked if he thought years of drinking led to the problem.
It's a definite cause, for sure.
Just like regret what you did?
Well, I don't know. I drank for about 40 years and had a good time. And, you know, I lost so many people, friends of mine in Korea and Vietnam and so forth. I mean, I beat most of my buddies out anyhow already, so, you know, the rest is kind of cream.
Are you scared?
No, I don't fear death. I fear pain, but not death.
This is Larry's tumor.
With his liver failing rapidly and a transplant the only option for survival, Larry was put on a waiting list. Finally, on the night of August 22nd, his doctor called.
Doctor said, I got good news and bad news. Your wife and I had gotten together, and I was going to take you up to Alaska fishing this weekend as a surprise. The bad news is we ain't going. The good news is we got a liver for you, and we sent a helicopter to pick you up in 20 minutes.
By the time Larry arrived at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, the news media was already camped out, having been tipped off by helicopter radio transmissions it had been monitoring. Meanwhile, inside, Hagman was beginning what would be a 15-hour surgery.
These are very involved surgical procedures. We're not talking about a root canal here.
The next morning, when it was all over, Hagman's doctor met with the press.
He really did get the liver just in time. The next 48 hours are extremely critical.
You look just terrific.
I know.
It's been
And I'm honest, too.
You are. Just 7 weeks later, Bob met with Larry and his wife, Mai. The actor recalled seeing his wife when he came out of the recovery room.
Well, I remember her looking down at me, and I'm here, and I think I'm swollen up like this and all kind of yellow. Yeah. And I just looked at her, and she had this white hair, you know. And I was looking up through the lights and so forth, and she looked like an angel, you know. Wow.
I think there was one moment that's the most pointed one was about the 4th night in the hospital when he said, "Are you going to sleep across there in your room?" And I said, "Yeah, so I don't bother you." He said, "Would you sleep on the floor and hold my hand?" And I did.
No wonder you guys have been together for 40 years.
41.
41.
Remember, there's a brand new liver right here. Either you push her up above it or below it.
You look incredible. I mean, it's like you never missed a
It's all makeup. This falls apart as soon as I wash my face.
In the year that followed, Larry got back to work, taking part in a Dallas reunion and also the Transplant Olympics.
I've been given a second chance, like all of you here, and thousands of others.
A year ago today, I had my new liver. Slightly used, but in good shape. Better than the one they got. And I feel pretty good. Awfully good, as a matter of fact.
Today, Larry finds himself a man who counts his blessings as well as his years.
I feel better than I have in 40 years. Of course, I have a 35-year-old liver and a 68-year-old man. That makes me about 52, you know.
Since his successful recovery, Larry has become an active campaigner for organ donation. He still is close to his Dallas little brother, Patrick Duffy. The two go fishing together a couple of times a year. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Final warning call. All passengers, gate 10. Don't be late. Call 976-WAKE for a reliable wake-up call. Just $2. When you can't be late, you've got to call WAKE. That's 976-WAKE. Call now.
Buy Factory Direct. The Jewelry Exchange in Elmhurst has a complete factory in full view and guarantees our jewelry to be the lowest price. Compare Tiffany's 1-carat invisible bands for over $5,000 with the Jewelry Exchange's GVS quality for $1,600. 1-carat pendants are $249, 2-carat tennis bracelets $349, and 1-carat studs $399. We carry hundreds of rings, bracelets, earrings, and pendants. Our prices are so low that we guarantee all our jewelry to appraise for at least double. The Jewelry Exchange in Elmhurst.
In other news, George Taylor was expected to be promoted today at cryogenics. Mr. Taylor failed to show. Company officials are concerned. He should have called 976-WAKE for a reliable wake-up call. When you can't be late, you've got to call WAKE 976-WAKE.
Right now, when you choose from the lowest priced minivan to the ultimate, you can get $1,500 cash allowance or 0.9 financing for 60 months, which means you can save over $4,700 in finance savings on a new Chrysler Town & Country and the popular Voyager. Now get $1,500 cash allowance or 0.9 financing for 60 months on all new minivans at your Chrysler and Plymouth dealer today.
They taste just like a Jelly Belly. 40 fun flavors, 4 calories per bean, 0 fat. It's Jelly Belly, the original gourmet jelly bean.
When you have a plumbing problem, it affects the whole family. Take care of it quicker with Mr. Reuter.
Taking Ginkgo helps me to remember names and phone numbers.
#1 doctor-recommended Ginkgo is clinically proven to help improve memory and concentration. Think better. Think Ginkgo.
Monday on Entertainment Tonight, the coroner's file on Natalie Wood. Vanity Fair uncovers the never-before-seen police report given by actor Christopher Walken. He was the actor on board with Natalie and Robert Wagner the night she drowned. Now, what he says happened and how his story differs from Robert Wagner's.
Is there a case that still haunts you?
The day in court Judge Judy cannot forget, and the real-life case that broke her heart. And we go behind the scenes for the new Enrique Iglesias video, and it's all about love. That's Monday.
Dallas broadcast its final episode in 1991 after 356 shows, making it the second longest drama series in TV history behind Gunsmoke.
Next weekend, we're going to take you back to uncover the unknown stories behind moonlighting. Take care.
We'll see you next time.
Bruce Willis and I have a great chemistry together, and the writing is wonderful. And we all work together real well, which is unusual.
Everything's rosy, everything's Jake. Just how much can a good gal take?
After the first or second year, Sybil and I were placed under really intense scrutiny in our private lives, probably more so than we were on in the work that we did on the show.
The more the show became popular, the more Bruce became popular, the more the tensions became exacerbated and things got worse and worse. There were things thrown, objects.
What a day for Hollywood, what a day for America!
What I would like to see is, no matter how long it stays on the air or how short a time it stays on the air, I would like to see the show go out on a good note.
Entertainment Tonight, always there.
I didn't think of Larry Hagman as an edgy actor. As soon as we met him, he came over to meet us. He stood there in the door in his Stetson and boots. I mean, he was the guy.
The role of JR's younger brother Bobby came down to a two-horse race. The producers first considered Steve Canale, but he wound up as the womanizing ranch hand Ray Krebs. Patrick Duffy, fresh from The Man from Atlantis, was cast as the earnest Bobby, but it was originally a short-term part.
It was supposed to be Romeo and Juliet. As a matter of fact, I was supposed to die after the first 5 episodes.
Duffy's Juliet was Victoria Principal. As Pamela Barnes Ewing, she was the wife of Bobby, but the sister of Cliff Barnes, the Ewings' arch enemy.
A very dear friend of mine, who has since passed away, brought the script over and left it at my house with a note that said, Pamela Barnes Ewing is you. And I read it, and I thought he was absolutely right.
Victoria, of all the actors, went after the role most aggressively. And if she didn't like the reading, there'd be a phone call from the agent. She wants to come back, do it again. And that kind of determination just sort of became part of the character.
The producer and director asked me if I would wear my own clothes for that episode because they had never gotten that image of Pam out of their mind.
Who's number one, right? Her or me?
At just 17, Charlene Tilton was equally determined to play the teenage sexpot Lucy, even though the producers wanted Stephanie Kramer, who would later star in Hunter.
I read the list of characters, and I read the description of Lucy, and I said, I have to have that part. It's mine. Just no two ways about it.
The late Mary Fran, who became Bob Newhart's TV wife, was originally cast as JR's alcoholic wife, Sue Ellen. But Linda Gray stepped in and...
I'm going to go to the play place.
Dreaming of a Disney cruise vacation? Then hurry to McDonald's and try the extraordinarily tasty Big Extra sandwich. The Big Extra is McDonald's newest, biggest burger. Or try one of your other favorites, and you could win an unforgettable Disney cruise vacation. There are still hundreds and hundreds to win. Who gives you the chance to win the vacation of your dreams? Did somebody say McDonald's?
That was some slide.
Americans love food. Always have, always will. It's part of our culture. You can't go anywhere without being reminded, excited, or enticed by a variety of things to eat. It's no wonder so many Americans are considerably overweight. But if you're serious about losing weight and willing to make the effort to change your diet, Xenical can help. Xenical is the only prescription fat blocker. It actually blocks about 1/3 of the fat in the food you eat from ever being digested. So if you avoid temptation and start eating reduced calorie meals, Xenical can help you lose weight. And that's pretty enticing too. So if you're considerably overweight, at least 30 pounds, depending on height, ask your doctor for more information.
Since Xenical blocks about 1/3 of the fat in the food you eat, you may experience gas with oily discharge, increased bowel movements, an urgent need to have them, and an inability to control them, particularly after meals containing more fat than recommended. Xenical shouldn't be taken if you are pregnant, nursing, have food absorption problems, reduced bile flow, or taking cyclosporin. Xenical reduces the absorption of some vitamins. Therefore, a daily multivitamin is recommended.
Welcome back to Entertainment Tonight's Dallas, The Secrets of Southfork. As Pam Ewing, Victoria Principal married into the wealthy Southfork clan. Now, as the show rose in the ratings, Principal
turned playing a drunk into an art.
That was fabulous for me. I loved it. It was my favorite part. Then it got a little old,
because I went to the producers and I said, I'm drinking, having an affair, drinking, and having an affair. I have 2 things to do. And I'll never forget what they said to me. They said, yes, but you do it so well.
With acclaimed stage actress Barbara Bel Geddes, Jim Davis, and Ken Kercheval in place, the original cast was complete. And during its 356 episodes, Dallas would feature more than 100 actors, including even Brad Pitt. Priscilla Presley signed on for the 6th season, but in a rare interview, she tells E.T. it wasn't as easy as it sounds.
My manager submitted my name, and we were refused. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible, you know. Well, I hadn't really been an actress. I hadn't been seen.
Once she proved herself, Priscilla soon doubted her decision when she saw the amount of work she had in her first episode.
Oh my God, I started crying, going, what have I done? A year, I've signed for a year, and I have all these lines to do.
Priscilla says Larry helped her feel at home. His presence on the show was as large as his characters, but far more positive.
Without a single really flagship character to draw everybody else along point lines of interest and plot, the show wouldn't have lasted 13 years. Larry is single-handedly the reason the show has stayed on the air for 13 years.
The fact that he was never nominated for an Emmy Award just blows my mind.
Larry pulled the cast together, often leading them out to dinner.
We would go to his favorite choice, Chinese, and Larry would walk in and go, "Hi, remember me? Major Nelson, I Dream of Jeannie? Well, me and my friends here, we're doing this show called Dallas. We'd sure like to have a table if you could get us one."
And together, they created a TV classic that spawned many imitators, including Dynasty, which was originally called Oil. Even today, the show is enjoyed around the world in reruns, but nobody loved Dallas more than the cast.
When the family was around a dining table, they knew, the director knew, playtime.
I can swear to you, in 13 years, there was not one day that I wasn't so excited to get to work, that I always left the house earlier than I wanted to, just so I could get in the car, get there, and start having fun.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the most fun I ever had, and a lot simpler than comedy.
Coming up on Dallas, the secrets of Southfork. Victoria Principal's problem with obsessive fans and her hidden battle with her weight.
It was terrible being fat.
Charlene Tilton's traumatic divorce and her new job as a celebrity gossip columnist.
I know what it is like to be on the other end of the tabloids.
Priscilla Presley talks about how she became a Dallas star and her troubled marriage to Elvis.
When someone is on pills, you can see the self-destructiveness.
That's next.
Let's be honest. There's really no such thing as a gracious winner. You might say things like nice game or shake your opponent's hand. But no matter how humble you are on the outside, deep down on the inside, you're saying, I'm better than you are. The Mitsubishi Galant, ranked the #1 family sedan under 20 grand by Car and Driver. Better than Accord or Camry. Boy, we just love saying that.
Audiences got a good dose of the greed, blackmail, sex, and ruin that the oil-rich Ewings dished out. They were hooked.
Everybody that I talk to has their little favorite person.
Everybody was pretty sleazy. And there was nothing like on television like that.
And there has been nothing on TV like it ever since. For 13 seasons, millions of viewers made Dallas their favorite destination. And that was a shock to most of the cast who only counted on that original 5-week run.
I just said, hey, 5 weeks is great. And then, oh, well, maybe another 6 weeks, that's even better. And I said, well, maybe we got a chance at this thing.
The audience grew slowly. Dallas didn't hit #1 until its 3rd year, but everything else had gone very quickly.
The date on the pilot script, the first year pilot script, was December 10th, 1977, and we were in Dallas shooting 5 episodes February 1st, 6 weeks later. It was very fast.
David Jacobs had only been working in television about a year when he was asked by CBS to create a primetime saga.
They also asked me to think about something for Linda Evans, who was under contract. And then the piece turned out to be too much of an ensemble piece. They were looking for a starring vehicle for Linda Evans.
But Larry Hagman loved the concept after his wife read the pilot and brought it to his attention.
I heard this whoop from the other room. She says, Larry, this is it. There's not one redeeming, nice character in the whole show. Let's do this. So I read it, and I thought, oh, this is great.
Now is the time to be scared.
In the beginning, the delightfully evil J.R. was just a secondary character, and Larry's I Dream of Jeannie past almost kept him from getting the role.
Larry Hagman? Larry Hagman's the major, you know, I mean, I